Now in today's video, I have done something a little bit different. I've taken a look at all the content creators' wildcard drafts ahead of game week 6 and I've put them together to build one ultimate team. Hopefully you find this video really useful, and of course if you do, make sure you're liking and hitting that subscribe button as we are ridiculously close to hitting 19,000 subscribers on the channel. But let's go and dive into this ultimate FPL experts wildcard draft for game week 6. Now, wasting no time, let's just dive straight into today's team. Obviously, what I've done, like I said, is just collate all the FPL YouTubers' drafts, and pretty much just a lot of the picks were very same, so it was very easy to build this kind of overall conclusive draft. So let's talk through all of the players that I have found, kind of, that matched up with most people's drafts. So a lot of teams did have double Arsenal defence. Obviously, with their great fixtures coming up, we're going to take a look at the 11ify data for this. But as you can see here, the clean sheet numbers over the next 6 game weeks are looking ridiculously good. This is why a lot of content creators and FPL experts are, of course, lining up and looking to bank on those double Arsenal defenders. The other goalkeeper that I saw in some drafts as well, for example, in FPL Raptors, he also had Donnarumma as well within his team selection. As you can see, game week 6, their big standout fixture for clean sheets, game week 8 as well. But as you see, the 11ify model here is really backing Arsenal. So I do think personally, and this is what I've gone for on my wildcard draft, if you haven't already checked it out, there will be a link under this video, or of course head to the description in my channel and you'll find it there. But as you can see here, the Arsenal numbers are absolutely ridiculous. You've got 3 fixtures over the next 6 with a 50% or above chance. So pretty much a 50-50 call, like a flip of a coin. You're getting a clean sheet. You're not, according to the 11ify models. Their worst week is game week 6 against Newcastle, and I think that probably that number will be a little bit more elevated as well, given the fact that Newcastle haven't really scored too many goals with their opening set of fixtures. Heading back to the other defenders within the FPL experts team, we've got Senesi, Tarkowski, Anderson and Richards. Now all of these guys are DEFCON beasts, but the main 3 that are the big DEFCON boys are going to be Tarkowski, Senesi and Anderson. Again, I've put together another very helpful graphic for you guys. It does have Caicedo on, as he was one of the other DEFCON players I wanted to talk about within my draft, so I thought I'd put him in here as well. But as you can see, these are the players that are just absolutely smashing defensive contributions every single week. Senesi and Tarkowski have hit it in all of their games so far. Anderson has hit it in one game he's missed, sorry. Every other game he's hit it, and he was ridiculously close. I think he picked up 8 or 9 in game week 1 against Brighton. So again, could have been extremely close to hitting DEFCON in all of those games. And what you're seeing is these defenders are now picking up 10 additional points, which works out at 2.5 extra clean sheets already this early in the season. And you factor in that Everton probably haven't been one of the better defences and haven't kept too many clean sheets, but the numbers have still been very good. The defensive contribution points are racking up, and Everton are one of those defences that I think will do exceptionally well over the next few weeks. Again, if we head back to the 11ify data for clean sheet numbers over the next few weeks, we're seeing Everton as the 4th best projected side over that period. Now, they've got a difficult fixture in game week 8, yes, but with him being, such a beast, Tarkowski, with those defensive contributions, you can very easily just roll in and line up with him. But game week 6, game week 7, game week 9, game week 10 and game week 11, I would feel very comfortable, of course, rocking with Tarkowski there. Bournemouth as well, we're seeing some great numbers, and like I said, Senesi is just an absolute beast. And I think one of the main advantages you get with both of these guys is they play 90 minutes, and you haven't really got to worry about European football either for any of these sides, which of course, might start to see some rotation within the defence. So overall, I really like the defence, and it is something that I'm very close to myself. I've got 4 out of the 5 defenders in this draft, as you can see right here. I've got both the goalkeeper pairings as well, so I'm a big fan of what the FPL community, and especially in terms of the content creators and experts in that field, are putting together for game week 6. Now, wasting no time, let's continue with the wildcard midfield, and it is again looking very template. I've seen this in pretty much all content creators' side. There's maybe like 1 or 2 differences. I've seen Kudus, of course, in Golden Goals draft, but a lot of the time it is is this same four midfielders with Statch as the cheap defender. So you've got Ndai, Reinders, Semedo, and Bruno Fernandes. For me personally, I feel like all of these should probably be locks on your wildcards. Ndai, Semenyo, and Bruno Fernandes are all the penalty takers right now for their sides. None of them face European football. All of them can hit defensive contributions, which we've seen over the opening few game weeks of the season. And like I said, they're just going to play 90 minutes. They all play for fairly good attacks and all have talismanic qualities. What more could you ask for in terms of picks? There's no chance of obviously rotation. Unless they're injured, I probably would keep most of these guys for large parts of the season. Like I said, they're just hitting the talisman profiles that a lot of people should be looking to target. And that is why I would have these guys nailed and locked within my wildcard draft. I honestly love every single one of them. And all think they bring, like I said, that talismanic quality. And again, I'm just a big fan of what all the content creators are suggesting here. I think, honestly, those three should be absolutely locks in everybody's wildcard drafts for game week 6. The other midfielders that they have selected here then, obviously Stack. Let's talk about him first on the bench. A 15-pointer, people might say it's a little bit knee-jerk. However, he does take corners. He does take free kicks. Can hit DEFCON. He's hit it twice already this season when he's played in those more kind of defensive roles. But getting a player that you can just know is going to play very good minutes, can play in the more easier fixtures, can hit defensive contributions, does have set piece share. For 5 million, I don't think you can ask for much better, to be honest. You've got yourself pretty much kind of like a kind of a spin-off of Dewsbury Hall here. You've got a player, like I said, that's got that set piece share, can of course hit some free kicks. He hit a really, really good one, a naughty free kick this week against Wolves. That top bins of that was just sensational delivery. So for 5 million, I really don't mind it as a pick. Obviously, if you're planning on bench boosting as well in game week 8, Leeds have got a really good fixture there with Burnley away. So if you are planning on bench boosting, of course, as you can see with this draft here, you do have Dubravka and you do have Stack that, of course, play against each other, but they've both got pretty nice fixtures for game week 8. If you're thinking about, like I said, you've still got that bench boost left over. The final pick is going to be Reinders. Now, he's hit a 9-pointer and he's hit a 10-pointer this season. The other ones, of course, have been blanks. But again, getting a midfielder for Manchester City for 5.6 million, who looks very nailed. The minutes look great. The injuries are starting to rack up for City, and of course can play in advanced 10 roles as well. I think, why would you, again, not take a punt on this guy for the, you know, especially with his ownership, especially with some of the good fixtures that City have got coming up. If we take a look at the 11-5 projected goal numbers for the next few weeks, we can see City topping that charts as well. And I would like a second attacker to, of course, go alongside Erling Haaland. Game week 6, as you can see, the highest on this list over the next 6 game weeks. And like I said, I want a second slice of that pie. I've got Haaland, but I'd like someone else to deliver. And I think, you know, picks like Foden, Doku, they're all a bit kind of like flash in the pan. They could be good, they could be future headaches, where I don't think Reinders is going to be that. And for his price point anyway, if he starts to get, you know, dropped or reduced minutes, you can just chuck him on the bench. Like, he's not a big issue that you're going to have to deal with further down the line compared to like a Foden who's eating up 8.5 million of your budget, or a Doku that's eating like 7. Like, there's no kind of worries with that as well. If we look at some of the other teams, obviously we spoke about Bournemouth 9th, but I think their numbers are just going to keep increasing on the 11-5 model as the season progresses. They're one of the best teams already in this season for not only expected goals, but also expected goals conceded as well. So I really like them as an overall kind of, you know, decent investment to be having for a lot of people. We're seeing United as well with their standout fixture in game week 7. So if you are potentially thinking about moving away from captaincy from Erling Haaland in that week as well, we've got Bruno Fernandes for that week. And I've said this in quite a lot of videos. For me personally, Bruno Fernandes feels like one of the easiest holds this season for what he has, what his minutes are going to be like. And of course, no European football as well, which I think we're yet to see how big an impact rotation is going to have when, of course, European football does kick in. But for right now, I'm really happy with the midfield. I think, again, it's very similar to what I've got in my wildcard drafts. So I think all the FPL experts and people that are making drafts that look very similar to this, they've got that midfield nailed on. I don't think there's probably any other pick that would probably break in here other than what is right in here right now. Okay, let's complete the FPL Experts wildcard draft for game week 6 then. As you can see, very template in the forward area. Gyökeres, João Pedro and Erling Haaland. You've got 2 penalty takers in there with some great fixtures coming up. Of course, Erling Haaland being one of them. Let's talk about him first. We've already seen with the 11-5 model. Let's just quickly bring that up again for you. The projected numbers for City are looking really good. They're top over the next 6 game weeks for projected goals. Of course, game week 6 is going to be the ideal fixture. I feel so many managers are going to be captaining, some even triple captaining Erling Haaland in that week, that he might be, you know, probably around like between 150 and 200% effective ownership. That is how big it could be. And of course, if you're not going without Haaland, that feels like a grave mistake on the wild card for me as well. As you can see, over the next 2 weeks, he's projected to get better goals against than Liverpool and Mohamed Salah. So I think for me, at least for the next 2 weeks, you still probably want to be backing Erling Haaland as your man and as your premium asset you want to be selecting within your side. We're also seeing good numbers for Arsenal post game week 7, so that bodes really well for, of course, Gyökeres, who is within this side and up front as well. That's looking really, really good. And Chelsea as well, their numbers are still looking pretty decent. A little bit of a drop-off in game week 7 and game week 8, however, to be noted. So maybe you could go without João Pedro early doors and maybe look to bring him in around game week 9. But I think for me personally, I still probably would have João Pedro as a pick on the wild card. With the injuries to Delap, with Palmer basically on like a day-by-day checklist where he has to make sure he's doing certain things, I think that means João Pedro is probably going to play very good minutes, even with European football coming up. The only concern I would have is maybe a potential benching after the international break. Obviously, Maresca made some comments around overall fitness and stuff like that after post-international break, so that might be one that we do have to monitor. And I think for me, Gyökeres this week, probably not the most ideal fixture. Newcastle are top in the list for expected goals conceded. They are very, very resolute at the back. Eddie Hall has made them extremely difficult to, of course, beat this season. Now, do I think that makes probably a Gyökeres a bad pick? No. I think maybe the ideal investment point, though, would, of course, been game week 7. Game week 6 doesn't quite feel ideal, but game week 7 against West Ham, if Graham Potter is still the manager, I want to have free Arsenal for that fixture. That feels like an absolute romping and feels like a fixture where Gyökeres, who we've already seen can bully those smaller sides, feels like he could go and get himself a mega haul. Before we finish up, let's take a look at how the team got on in Fantasy Football Hub's AI rating tool. Of course, if you want to go and get your wildcard draft rated, there will be a link in the description to that. I still believe they're running the 50% off sale, so honestly, go and take full advantage of it. It's one of the best tools to, of course, help you become a better manager this season. And yeah, it's got a much better UI look as well compared to the Fantasy Football website. But as you can see, a 98% AI rating, which is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I challenge anybody to go and get a better one than a 98% rating. So it's absolutely loving this FPL experts content creators team that has been selected ahead of game week 6 and the game week 6 wildcard build. So honestly, I think a lot of people's teams are going to be looking very, very similar to this. And if you aren't on a wildcard or are on a wildcard as well, maybe of course consider some of these picks going forward, as a lot of the top content creators, and as you can see here, the Fantasy Football Hub AI is backing them to do well over the next few weeks. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you're liking and hitting that subscribe button. Like I said, we're trying to hit 19,000 subscribers. It would be absolutely amazing if, of course, we could do that. And thank you for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 6.